So that was UB2 from the Bend It Like Beckham musical, which not many of you know perhaps exists. But today we are lucky enough to be joined by one of the cast members of Bend It Like Beckham and also Aladdin, and most recently, Raj from The Boy in the Dress. We are joined by Irvine Iqbal today. Would you like to say hello to Tamworth?
Hello, Tamworth.
It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Wonderful. So, as I've said, you were in quite a few shows over your career professionally. Do you have a favourite moment of your career, perhaps?
Oh, I don't know. I think maybe, well, I mean, all the shows have been great, but I think maybe something along the lines of Bombay Dreams, debuting in probably my first ever show was probably the most exciting thing.
So it's because of that first show that you have that emotional connection to it?
Yeah, I think every actor has, it's always that pivotal moment, when after you've done all your training and you kind of get out, starting work professionally, your first ever show. So for me, I think it must be Bombay Dreams.
Great. Wow. Absolutely wonderful. And of course, most recently, you've had the absolute pleasure of playing one of children's most beloved characters in possibly fiction, the corner shop owner Raj from David Walliams' books, and specifically The Boy in the Dress. When you were playing Raj, did you feel any pressure on you to fill the boots of this massive character?
Oh yeah, I mean, David's books are so popular, especially especially amongst children. And obviously Raj is kind of like the only recurring character in all of his books, I think, apart from one. So yeah, I mean, it's big packets of crisps to fill, because he's loved by all the kids. So yeah, huge pressure.
And and on that subject, when you were kind of putting the show together, because it's a new show, of course, completely original songs and like original book based on the book, but original script. What were the processes like in creating your character? Did you do a lot of research from the books, or was it from yourself?
Well, I think the thing is with The Boy in the Dress and most new musicals, we have this advantage of doing what's called workshops.
Okay.
Where the basic idea and the concept is there for the musical, and then obviously the composers and the writers have written several scenes, a few scenes, and a few songs. So we had the advantage of having there were 3 workshops actually,
right? Okay.
Of like testing these characters in front of an audience and seeing whether the context and the dialogue worked. And so, the opportunity was there because we were able to play around and see whether things worked or not in those workshops.
Okay. And how much changed over those 3 workshops?
Not much, really. I mean, not obviously with workshops, you're trying new things, but the advantage or the objective in the majority of workshop is to drive the story and to drive the narrative of the story. Sometimes you get a little bit of fluff and you get a little bit of, scenes that may not make sense to the story, so you kind of edit and get rid of all the wastes. So, you're left over with all those scenes that are just driving the narrative of David's story. So, we changed a lot. Songs were added, songs were taken away. I think they probably had more than like 30 to 40 songs for this show. And obviously, with the majority of musicals, it always gets boiled down to like 6 or 7, in each act. On average, I'm just making a basic average there. So, you can imagine all the material that they had, and then we kind of edited it all out in the workshop process.
Yeah. And then what was left was this brilliant show that if anyone didn't get the chance to see, then you really, really missed out on. And I
didn't see the show.
Sorry?
I said, why didn't you all see the show? No.
Well, I hope that there's a future for it, perhaps. Have you heard anything, any plans for The Boy in the Dress?
We were supposed to come, I think, we were supposed to transfer into the West End this year.
Okay.
There was never any dates or anything official announced or anything, but we were supposed to, and obviously because of what happened with COVID and everything, a lot of shows have been put back to next year. But also, I think there'll be a little bit of a there'll be a bit of a backlog as well, because shows that would have come out this year have probably been put back to next year. So there may be a little bit of delay. There may be a window of opportunity. I don't know. I think it will be all in the producer's hands and what the government will do next.
But we can hope. We can hope that there's a future for it.
It deserves to be. I think it's very much a story of today, of a generation, and it deserves its place, I think, in mainstream theatre.
Yeah, of course, definitely. A brilliant show, and I really hope there is a future.
Thank you.
But another show that recently closed, unfortunately, which also I can see in your background, you have the poster for Aladdin, the musical. Now, what was that experience like, being a part of Aladdin, the West End musical?
Oh, it was fantastic. Being in a Disney show, as speaks for itself, really. And then when I got the opportunity, after going through, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 auditions, I think we all went through kind of rigorous auditions, and then being lucky enough to be in a show like this, and then amongst the really good cast, and also kind of the Broadway creative team were looking after us over here too. So the original creative team, Casey, and a lot of the those creators were involved in the transition over here, and I think it was very, very exciting, especially bringing I think there hadn't been a new Disney musical in the West End since The Lion King, maybe. I don't know.
Mary Poppins, maybe.
Mary Poppins, yeah. But kind of, animated, musical that had been brought to us. So I think Lion King was 99 and we were 2016. So you can imagine it's been quite a considerable amount of time in between. But being part of that process is just, such a privilege, and I had such a great time.
Yeah, and not many people may know, but that show, it was captured, wasn't it? Captured with cameras and stuff similar to Hamilton, right?
Yeah, we did a kind of a live capture the end of August 2019, very much on the similar vein as Hamilton and Newsies as well. It's the same director as Newsies, Brett Sullivan. So yeah, we did something very, very similar.
So after the success of Hamilton, released last week, absolute massive reception, do you think they're going to release your film Aladdin?
I have no idea. We've not been told anything. I think it makes sense to do it. Especially with theatre not being open and everything delayed till next year, and obviously Broadway now not opening till next year.
Yeah.
So I think I don't know. I've not been told anything.
Okay.
But it makes sense for it to come, and we need shows like Aladdin. Good, high energetic show.
Feel good,
Feel good show to put people in in a good mood and to keep people's morals up and everything. So I don't see why not. Be released soon.
Well, as always, we can hope. And of course, we're both at home currently. The lockdown's starting to be kind of relaxed, but still nothing is happening with theatres, really. Not much has happened in support of theatres. Do you have any worries or concerns for the arts that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I've got huge worries and concerns for the arts. I think we have a government that's acting too slow, that has no basic concept. The people that are in positions in government have no idea. They're not experienced enough. They don't come from theatre or art backgrounds, so they don't even understand the basic foundations of it. And here we are all, we're all in a very precarious position. People are losing their jobs, and it's not just actors, it's also people who work in stage management, other freelancers as well, all front of the stage, back of the stage, are all losing jobs and all going through redundancies. And the government have got no idea and understanding of what's going on. And what we need is a very, very urgent financial package to rescue, because British theatre is a brand in this country. It's a £100 million brand, and we need to save that. And if we don't, we're going to be treading into very dangerous waters.
Well, theatre always does seem to find a way. Of course, We've had online productions recently start to make themselves known. The last 5 years, a couple of weeks ago, that was
Yeah.
really good. But
I think
hopefully,
that's the problem as well, Callum. Is that
yeah,
a lot of the people who run these production companies, who are big producers, I don't think are thinking outside the box at the moment. There's no kind of
okay,
long-term strategy of what to do. Obviously they have the theatres, they have the productions, but we need to be coming up with new. And we are a creative industry. That
yeah,
is the very nature of what we do. We
yeah,
create something new, and we need to incorporate all of those qualities into a corporate strategy now, or
yes,
a business strategy now, where the business model of theatre is going to change.
of course, yes,
Because of
definitely,
these things. We've lost all of our smaller venues all around the country. They're needing money, and they've gone into administration.
yeah,
Ironically, these are the venues that we're going to be needing because of the social distancing. So we can't alienate them. We need to get them back on board. But there's no kind of strategy or creative strategy, and we need those people to be in those positions to do that.
of course, yeah. Well, hopefully something's going to come soon, because it is definitely needed.
Yeah, I'm praying that we get some good ideas. I think I saw that Andrew Lloyd Webber is doing something at the Palladium Theatre, where
Yeah,
they're looking at a social distancing template over there, and
hmm,
how that they can reopen. Obviously, theatre's not going to be open until next year, or production's not going to be open next year. Panto's probably, I don't know, but we've got to start thinking outside the box here.
yeah,
As the creative industry, and we've got to put pressure on our politicians about getting their finger out and doing something about it, because everybody's suffering.
yeah, of course, definitely. And when theatre does come back as well, of course, things are going to look a bit different in the way of how things work, but also on stage, in the casts, in the staff, it's going to look a bit different as well, because this new movement of, well, not new, but it's given a lot more energy recently. The Black Lives Matter movement, it's going to change the arts in a big way, don't you think?
Oh yeah, I mean, the thing is though, our industry has been exposed for too long. We've had shows in the West End like Les Mis,
Yeah.
Phantom of the Opera, and it's all been tokenistic casting in those shows.
Hmm.
The lack of representation has been exposed, even more so now.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether people, or those people in those positions, understand it, or are aware of it and want to do something about it. But we've heard empty promises for too long,
Yeah.
and we need action. The Black Lives movement, is a trigger,
Hmm.
and we've seen so many of my colleagues, incorporate their sentiments about the situation, and
Yeah.
it's it has to change. And if it doesn't change, then that's another problem that we've got to sort out. We've got two major issues here.
Yeah.
We've got theatres and businesses that are not opening, and we've got a lack of representation in our theatres. So we have to deal with that simultaneously, and we've got to deal with it diligently, objectively, and in a very supportive way.
Yeah. Well, I'm very hopeful and very kind of excited to see this new energy wave cause loads more representation on our stages. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, I agree. It's we were talking about Aladdin before, and
Yeah.
I was in the show for 3 years, and during those 3 years, it was the first time I observed a diverse theatre audience. I think a
Yeah.
lot of theatre in the West End has been very predominantly, I think there's some statistic that 80% of people that come to theatre are women over 50.
Right.
There's been a statistic, I think, for the last 10 or 15 years. But I think slowly things are changing. London especially.
Yeah.
I talk about London. I know there's obviously regional theatre as well.
Yeah.
Talking about London specifically, audiences have changed. We're very much a diverse and metropolitan, cosmopolitan,
Yeah.
city, and I saw so much diversity in the audiences. So if that's the new generation of audience, then
Yeah.
we got to do something about that.
Yeah. And of course, the people on stage need to reflect the people in the audience. And it's
Well,
going to
that's
be,
what Mr. Lloyd Webber says in his diversity report in 2016. The
yeah,
stage must reflect the population.
of
So
course. So hopefully we can see more of that as
yeah,
theatres reopen.
I hope so. I pray, and I hope
Yeah.
so.
Okay. So we're coming to the end of the interview now, and I like to end on this one question. I love asking this to people. What is your favourite musical theatre song and your favourite musical theatre show? But the catch is you can't have worked on the show.
Has to be West Side Story.
Oh, that's the second time we've had West Side Story.
Well, the thing is, West Side Story is a big musical for a lot of people. I mean, it was a pivotal moment for me because I came across it at school, and then obviously watching it on television as well. I mean, the scene in the gym, the slow dance in the gym where the kind of the Romeo and Juliet meet for the first time. Tony and Maria meet for the first time, and then they have that huge, beautiful backdrop where people are just slow dancing in the back. And that to me was a eureka moment, saying this is something I want to be involved in. But obviously, you know, we can't take away the music, the lyrics, the Sondheim lyrics, and you know,
beautiful
the story. And so for me, it has to be West Side Story.
West Side Story. And any particular song from West Side Story?
Oh, I think America. When all the Puerto Ricans dancing on top of the rooftops of why why they're here as immigrants. Ironic for today, isn't it?
Well,
especially when you have a show like Hamilton out too.
Yes, Hamilton. Oh, I watched that film yesterday.
I watched it last night. It was so good.
Brilliant. Absolutely.
It was so good.
Well, we will get America out on the show later on, but until then, this has been an absolute great interview. We've loved having you on the show. Thank you, Irvine.
My pleasure,
Irvine Iqbal, Raj from The Boy in the Dress, and also cast member of Aladdin and Bend It Like Beckham. Thank you so much for joining The Sound of Musicals.
Thank you, Callum.